Hey Scrapbook friends, this is Michelle at michellesizemore.com, and it has one L in my first name and my website link. I'll also post that link in the comments section of this video if you're looking for me, or if you're looking to sign up as a Creative Memories advisor, or to buy products, or to see other things on my website. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys how to make this 2-page layout using our new collection called Noteworthy Days, and I also use something from the Birthday Jubilee collection, which those collections are designed to coordinate with each other. They go together. And I use this Garland Banner punch. It's a border punch. If you want to take a closer look, I love this punch. It's so versatile. You can use it for anything. You can use it for birthdays, Christmas. You can put sticker letters on it for Valentine's Day, whatever, you know, you can graduation, formals, things like that. Okay, so the background paper that I used is, let me see, it's from the Birthday Jubilee collection, and there are 2 paper packs that come with that. One is a designer paper and one is like a Fast and Fabulous paper that's pre-printed. So it's printed like this on one side, and like this it's just plain, like a cloudy blue. It's got like kind of whitewashed look in it on the other side. So I chose the plain side for this. I've done other pages on the other side. So let's get started with this. I'm going to show you all the items that I used. I have them right here. I'm going to pull these out of this Power Project sleeve. Now I went ahead and cut these banner pieces just to save time, but I will show you how the border punch works. So I used our white ruled paper. Here's a scrap. This is the background paper. So I have 2 of these. This is a 2-page layout. I used this matte from the Variety Matte Pack. It's like a card. And then I used these colors of paper. So this paper comes from Noteworthy Days. This comes from Noteworthy Days. This comes from Noteworthy Days, and this comes from Birthday Jubilee, and this is just some navy blue cardstock. Okay, so let's set everything aside, and we'll start out by cutting our Garland Banner Border Punch, or just let me show you how that works. And my base for that is going to be on this navy, so I'm going to try to use up my smallest scrap piece first. I'm going to put my cardstock, you know what, first of all, I just realized this is not a straight edge. You want to start out with a good straight edge. So let's get a good straight edge on this. Now I want to save as much cardstock as I can. My blade is going to come down on that left hand side dotted line. That little thing that I pulled out, it's a little clear thing here, and it shows you exactly where the blade's going to come down, and it's always on that left hand side dotted line. I'm trying to find something to kind of point that out to you. There is a dotted line here and a dotted line here. The blade always comes down on this left hand side dotted line, which matches up with this little guide. I rarely use that, but there's a little line there, and it just goes all the way down and shows you exactly where your paper is going to be cut. It's really good if you're using like a designer paper with you know, a design on it that you don't want to cut in the middle of or something. But usually I don't use it. It just kind of stays tucked away there. But I wanted to show it to you. And there's another one on the bottom as well. So just a handy little feature. Our trimmer has so many great features to it. All right, you want to make sure your straight blade's in. So I'm going to pop that up. Look, it's the straight blade. It says straight. It doesn't, you just want to put it in curvy side down and close your case. All right, so now we're going to put this in here and get a good straight edge. So I kind of bunny trailed on that, but what I was trying to say is I know that the blade is going to come on that left hand side dotted line, so I'm just going to go slightly to the right of that because I want to save as much of my cardstock as possible. I don't want to waste it. So here we go. So I'm going to get a good clean cut, and then I'm going to throw that scrap away because it's crooked. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side just because I think I'm going to need to. So while I'm at it, I might as well. Let me come over to the right just a little bit more. Okay, good. So I've got good straight lines on both sides of that. So I can use both sides of that to punch my Garland Banner punch. You put it in here. First of all, I want to punch it and knock it a little bit to make sure there's no scraps in there. Because if they are, they get hung up in there and kind of hinder your ability to punch. So it looks clean. So I'm going to put this in here, line it up with this black line right here. That's very important. You always want to start on that black line with your cardstock. Make sure it's straight here and punch. Scoop your scraps out of the way, bring it down, and match your pattern up with the light blue. So you're going to cover that light blue part so that all you see is silver, and then you know it's time to punch again. So I'm going to, I just turn that so y'all could see it better, but I usually don't turn it at all. So I lined it up, I make sure it's straight right here, and I punch. Scoop my scraps out of the way. Line it up, cover my pattern, make sure it's straight here, and punch. And then I would do that all the way down until I get a 12-inch border. So I've already cut that for you to save time, but I just wanted to show you how it works. Okay, so this is going to be my base piece. I want to use my mat because I don't want to get adhesive on my table. Now, if you see like this, where you have like a little end piece that's messed up, you just cut that off. It usually happens. And you kind of want to go around the curve of the design because that's going to matter. So it makes it look like the design is still like a circle there at the end. Kind of made it look too pointy. There we go. I think that's okay. It's a little bit of a sharp. So I'm just sort of cutting it at a curve. And this side has just a little piece on the end that I need to snip off. These little tiny micro scissors are what I think are best to use. They're so small and so very sharp, and they work great for little intricate things like that. Okay, so I already punched out my colors of banners as well. I used this. It's got a little subtle, like kind of watercolor design to it. And this one, I used this side. It's like a green, but with a subtle little dot. I like these textury papers that have just a little bit of design to them, but they still look like one color. And then this is the orangey one with a little design to it. Okay, and here's the blue one. And I like the other side of this too, but I didn't use it on this particular banner. Okay. So what you want to do is cut your little banner pieces off, and we're going to layer them on top here. So let me find my original. Let's just duplicate this page right here. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to show you how it works. But I went blue, orange, green, beige. Blue, orange, green, beige. That was my pattern. So we'll start with the blue. And basically what I want to do, I'm going to do this over the white so you can see it, is basically just cut off the little banner piece with my micro scissors. And then all I have is the little flag, okay? And then I'm going to layer that on top, and then I'll mount it in shortly. So the next color was orange. Cut the other parts off to where I just had the little flag. Blue, orange, green. I really like the colors in this collection. I think they're great for, they're kind of homey, and they're like great for men or women, and just kind of generic, and I really like them. Our past birthday collection was like really bright, and I still have some of that, and there's a need for that too. I like to buy a little bit extra of all of our collections so that I always have a variety on hand. So now I actually have 2 of the older birthday packs and this one, so I can choose which one I want to use. I have the birthday bonanza, which had a lot of pinks in it, and purples and brights. Then I had the party time that was primary colors, and now I have this one. So it's always good, I mean, if you can afford to have some extras on hand, because you never know what vibe your pages are going to have and what colors are going to coordinate. So I like to have a variety. Okay, so this is so easy. So now the next thing I'm going to do, I would do that to all of my little flags. I would cut them off and just mount them on top here. And I would just take my repositionable tape runner And I'm going to grab this little lifter stick. It's just kind of gummy on the end and it can pick things up. I'm going to pick that up and flip it over because I need to put the sticky on the back. And I'm going to use my repositionable tape runner and put that on the back. It comes out in little clear dots that you don't see, which is so nice. And then I'm going to put this on top here. I want it to look a little bit like a shadow look, to where you can still see a little bit of that navy. It's kind of harder to tell since I've got navy on navy. You'll notice it a little bit more when I use the other colors. So I'm going to do that with the orange. I'm just going to off-center it just a tiny bit to give it a little shadow look, and it just kind of gives it some definition and makes it look a little bit more 3D like. And then I'm going to do my green. Okay, this is why the lifter stick's handy. My fingernails don't do the best job. Okay. And we're going to mount that down, and I want them to like go all the way to the top and cover the navy there, but I like for a little bit of that navy to show down here to give it a little shadow look. Now I'm going to do the beige. Do the same thing, kind of offset it just a tad. Okay, and then I would do that all the way down, alternating blue, orange, green, beige, blue, orange, green, beige, all the way to the end. Okay, and then it's so easy. I would then, sorry, I cough on every video because I start talking and I get thirsty, and I don't have water handy right now, so that's not good. All right, so I'm going to take my paper. I have 2 sheets of this because I'm doing side-by-side pages that go together. And I love this blue. It's just kind of like a washed look. It's kind of like a white and blue combination. I prefer papers like that instead of just solid cardstock whenever possible. I just really like a little texture to it. Now I would just take this and I'm going to mount it up here. So I would turn it over. I'm going to grab my border. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was fun. Okay, here we go. I'm going to grab my border mat, and then on the back here, I would just generously put repositionable tape runner. Well, not generously, but make sure I get it on every flag and at the top and on these little dots. And I would do it all the way down, and then I would mount this up here at the top. Once I get it down, I would rub it to get any little clear dots off that show. And I would want to make sure this goes to the end and all the way almost to the top. I'm not mounting it down because I don't want to waste this paper for a demo, but you can see the final result right here. If I can get some things out of the way. I try to make this area on the video look clean, but off to the sides it's kind of a mess right now. Okay, so this would be my final look. Okay, so you can see I made it so the little balls go at the top, and right down the middle is where it's cut. And then that way, when you match it up, you want your little balls to match up to look like there's not even a, you know, a seam there. You might have to trim it just a little bit before, you know, before you put it in your protector, but that's the idea. And then these are the photos, pretend photos here. So there's lots of 4x6s. I'm going to grab out my pretend photos, and we're going to, wherever there's a 4x6, I don't need to crop that photo at all. And then some of these I had to crop a little bit. So I really like this look where the sight lines in between my photos, somehow that got crooked. I think this one got crooked. I think it was just handling it. Let's see. Yeah, so I kind of like it where the sight lines in between my photos are kind of thin, and yet the photos are divided. They're not like right up against each other. So you couldn't have sight lines between your photos if you had 2 4x6s because the page is 12x12. So I cut, you know, I cut one of them down a little bit. So this one is 5.5 instead of 6 inches wide. but it's still 4 inches up and down. So to crop a photo, all you do, and let's crop one like here where we wanted it 3.5 by 6. So I'm going to grab my photo trimmer, and this is already 6 inches, so I don't have to mess with that. But this way, I want it to be 3.5. So I'm going to line it up at the 3.5 mark. Is that right? No. Nope, this way. Sorry, I did that wrong. So this is 6. I want it to stay that way. I'm going to turn it this way and line it up at the 3.5 inch mark and just cut that little bit off, and then I have this size photo. So that's how you crop your photos. I'm going to hold it up so that you can look at the measurements if you want to jot those down. 6 by 4, 5.5 by 4, and then these 3 are 3.5 by 6. And here we go. You can look at those. And then I cut a piece of ruled paper right here, which I use on almost every page. I love that stuff. So let me see if I included that here. Yep, here it is. So Creative Memories has ruled paper, and I really love it a lot. So I would just kind of measure the spot where I need it and then cut it to fit. And so for this, I need it to be 3.5 wide by 6 vertical. So let's take a look at this. Of course, this does matter with the direction. You want your lines to be horizontal. So I'm going to go to 3.5 inches on my photo trimmer right here, and make sure it's straight on that grid line, straight across. Put my finger down, but not too far over, and cut. You never want your finger over here where the blade comes down. So that's 3.5, and then we need it to be 6 inches long. So we're going to line it up at the 6 right there. Make sure it's straight all the way across. Follows that grid line all the way across. Put your finger down and cut. And so now I have my piece of ruled paper that goes here. And then my card would go here. And this is just a card that comes in the Variety Mat Pack that goes with Birthday Jubilee. Here it is. And I do think I had to cut it down a little bit. So let's see. So this starts out as 4.5 inches wide, but this ended up about 4 inches. So I cut 1/4 inch off of each side. So let's do that. That's just to make it fit on the pattern. I'm going to use this trimmer. Well, I'll tell you what. When you get down to 1/4 inch, and it has to be exact, I kind of like to take my ruler first and kind of double check things. I'm going to put my ruler here, and I just like my old school wood ruler. And I'm going to draw a line at 1/4 inch. Measure it right here at the 1/4 inch and a line there. And this is just to double check myself because I don't want to mess it up, because if I mess it up, it won't be centered. So okay, so I'm going to line this up, and I want my pencil line to be right there on that left-hand side dotted line. And I have to, there's a glare. Yeah, right there. So I'm going to cut that, make sure my straight blade's in there. So that cut that much off, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here, and I have my line here, and I can match it up down here too. I kind of have some stuff on there. It's almost time. Let me see about flipping this. I've got some adhesive on it is the problem. Yeah, let's flip it over and get a new dotted line. You get 4 flips out of this. When your dotted line starts to fade and it's hard to see it, it's time to flip it. And so that's why they have these numbered. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. You get 4 flips out of it. And then when all of your left-hand dotted lines are faded, it's time to get a new mat strip for $7, okay? So I'm going to, yeah, that's much better. I'm going to line this up, and this little line happens to be on the bottom now, and I'm going to line it up with that left-hand side dotted line right there. Make sure it's straight at the top, straight all the way down, and cut. And now it's the right width. And then I do think I cut some off of the top and bottom as well. Yeah, I did. So this is 6.5 inches, and this one is more like 6 inches. So I cut 1/4 of an inch off the top and bottom. And again, I do this it's just for me, like, to make sure I do it right. 1/4 of an inch. Quarter of an inch. So I'm going to cut that off. Because of the lighting in here, it's hard to see my pencil mark unless I have it upright. Yeah, there, that's good. My pencil line is on that dotted line. Do it over here too. This time my dotted line's on the bottom. I mean my pencil line. So I'm going to look at the bottom dotted line right here. All right. Now, that's the right size for me to mat there. Sometimes I don't have to cut them at all, but it just depends on my layout. I just have to cut it to fit. Okay, so that is basically how you do this layout. It's 2 pages. It's pretty easy. I like it. I love the colors. And again, I think that Garland Banner Border Punch is good for almost everything. I've done lots of pages with it. All right, thank y'all for watching my video, and I hope you like this collection as much as I do, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And if you don't mind, if you enjoy my videos, I want to encourage you to please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, and that way, I didn't put enough adhesive on here, so they're crooked and it's bothering me. So anyway, let me finish my sentence. That way, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell for notifications, it will notify you when I post new videos, and it will help me grow my YouTube channel. So I thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.